from Patchwork Posse, and in this video tutorial I thought I would show you how to finish your binding. So we've got it sewn to the back side of the quilt by machine, but we want to do hand stitching on the front side. Just looks a little bit better, a little more finished, and so I'm going to show you how to do that as well as get a mitered corner over here. So here we go. I went ahead and made a knot at the end of my thread here somewhere, and that's in a different video. It's a quilter's knot, super simple to do, so go ahead and watch that one if you need a refresher. So I'm going to start with my needle inside the binding. I want to hide my knot and my tail, and I'm going to make the needle come out right up at the tip edge of that fold. So I'm going to pull my thread through. So there's the knot. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and fold my binding over, and what I want to do is fold it, so see my stitch line where I stitched that binding on? I'm going to go just past that. You want to make sure you don't pull it one direction or the other. You really want it to lay flat down. So alright, and so my thread is coming out the tip. What I'm going to do is take a stitch along the bottom, and then just barely, can you see that? Just barely ticking the edge of the hem. And I'm going to pull this, and it's going to pull my hem right down. Now if you want, you can use some clips, some binding clips. And then what we're going to do is repeat the process. My thread's in my way. So I'm going to stitch down and then just catch the binding edge. Okay, so I went ahead and added some clips to keep it, the binding in place. So I'm just going to continue to repeat this process. You don't want to take huge stitches, but you don't want to take really small ones either. So I would keep it around 1/4 of an inch. You'll kind of find a rhythm with this. Now, quick answer, no, this thread or this needle is not going through the backside. You are only taking up the top layer, possibly the batting, but really it's just the top layer of your fabric. So, okay, just keep going until we get to that corner. It is a little tricky when you're running to seams. So, and then every once in a while you can pull that thread just a little bit tighter, and it'll, I'm going to say pucker, but it's not a bad pucker. It'll pull that thread a little bit tighter. If you worry about your stitches coming undone, go ahead and every like 10 or 15 stitches take a stay stitch, and that just means, you know, stitch from the bottom to the top. You're not traveling anywhere, it's in the same position. So if a thread gets pulled or you snap a thread or whatever, then you don't lose the whole, the whole thing doesn't unravel. You just have to fix one spot. Okay, so now we're to the edge. What am I going to do here? So I've got this folded over, and naturally you are going to, because of how it was stitched on, you're going to have a finished edge along the top, and if you pull this binding out straight, it's going to go ahead and miter it almost, you know, naturally for you. So you'll just want to fold that in, and it's going to follow again the edge of the quilt, and then you can kind of see where your stitches are and make sure that you're covering that up as well. So I'm going to take another stitch, and then I'm going to tack that corner down. So I just want to catch the edge of the corner, or that little point down there, and then pull it tight. I can do a couple stitches here in the corner to keep it down, And if you're doing this for a showpiece, you'll want to go ahead and maybe do a ladder stitch in here to close that gap. You know, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I usually don't, but if that really bothers you, I would say do it. And then just continue on. Now I've finished that area, so I'm going to move my clips. I'm just going to hand fold it because really it kind of goes along where it's supposed to be. You don't want the clips to be right along the edge because then you'll have to fuss with them over and over again. So keep them away from the edge so you don't have to remove it when you've got your stitches coming. Alright, so now I just continue on until I get to the next corner. Yeah, I'll just poked my thumb there. I think I do that every time I hand bind. Maybe that's why it's not my favorite thing to do. Alright, so that is how you get hand binding done. And if you look, your stitches are invisible. And the front, or the back of the quilt looks, you know, super nice and finished. And then the front of the quilt, you've got hidden stitches, and it lays nicely with a perfect miter